All right, so here is a story I wanted to to cover to talk about, and that's the recent sentences of Mavado's son David Brooks, his son Dante Brooks, and for those who don't know, Dante Brooks had was in and 3 years ago was responsible for the killing of Lorenzo Thomas in St. Andrew community of Cofasaba Peace, where I think he is the father of Lorenzo Thomas had tried to get his son out because he received word that it was an that he the orders called in his life, but unfortunately, fate can be a cruel thing, and he was killed before he could get the son to community. And basically, his father saw his own son get brutally killed by on the order of Dante Brooks. And I said, as a result of that, Dante Brooks and his co-conspirators were charged in murder, and he was found guilty. And the thing is, as I said though, is that the reason I wanted to do this recording, me and so on, is that it was so sickening, but not completely surprised that Dante Brooks was sentenced at 18, and so he was 16 at the time this murder he carried out this killing. So that does just sink right in for you right there. That this little kid who was who was not at the age of consent, is not considered a full adult yet, and he coldly, callously took this person's life for whatever reasons. I've been trying for, I could go into what exactly led to it, but the real focus is on. It's just such a sad thing. It's just heartbreaking to hear when a lot of these young kids, throw their lives on stupid shit like that. Because almost every week, I'm reading papers, the local news, where a lot of these teenagers and kids get caught up in the wrong stuff, going over dark paths, and when they're caught, or worse, their life. That's pretty much it for their lives. That they're basically their lives are pretty much done after making a very stupid mistake for whatever reason. And that goes a lot to how they're being raised and how they're being indoctrinated growing up and so on. But I think and I know people are going to say that the excuse is that many of these youths grow up in these very dangerous and volatile communities where they don't have positive role models, and that they resort to badmanness, if that's a word, I don't know. That they don't basically have a choice. That society made them the way they are. But decided about Dante Brooks and what no. Politics Watch did a phenomenal job on this already. Like I can't top this, but I can reiterate what Politics Watch and many others have been saying is that this is a kid who has a famous musician for a father, and a father who doesn't even live in Jamaica, who lives in New York, and is based, from what I know. I mean, I don't know how much the financial whereabout the financial tidbits of how much money his father has or whatever. We don't know, but he's willing well better than a lot of Jamaicans could ever hope to live though. And the thing is though that Dante Brooks, he didn't have to be in a situation where where he was done for survival, or like he whatever, like he could have been. There's a kid that, because of who his father is though, like, and again, that is obviously Mavado was in his son's life though, so it's not a case where he wasn't providing for his son. He could have easily been a case where he could have stayed away from those the elements of badness and kind of to become a very productive member of society. This is a kid that could have possibly been a doctor, lawyer, scientist, policeman, fireman, engineer, whatever. The sky's the limit. This is a kid that didn't have to go down this path, but then again, you have to question how he was raised and what he was influenced, though. I mean, we're throwing out the survival excuse that some people would have tried to use for him, and then you have to. And even when you look into this, I've seen pictures of this kid, though, and when you look at this kid, whatever, is like you see this very cold, sinister stare in this kid's eye. That this is a kid, even before you're 16 or whatever. This is a kid that basically the life of badness is nothing new to him. Like, and the thing, it was very telling that the way he ordered the killing of this Lorenzo Thomas. I don't know what kind of situation he and Dante Brooks or whoever had is telling that he never. This is not first time he's taken a life or seen it. That he would have grown up or been around some people where he's seen violence committed against other people, and at some point he became desensitized to it. That he just that it just came like a natural instinct for him just to coldly snuff out someone's life. So like you, and the thing is what a lot of us I have to understand, a lot of these stone cold killers we have in Jamaica and these other places, like a lot of them start young. Like they a lot of them start at a very young age, even before they're full teenagers, that they're learning how to be killing machines. But the thing with Dante Brooks and Patrick Twaks did such a good job saying that the people around him failed him though. Like they could have been a case where he didn't have to be where they could have said, okay, he's the son of one of Jamaica's most famous DJs, and they realize that, okay, he doesn't have to be in this type of lifestyle, but because he's the son of a DJ, and let's be honest, Mavado has glorified that badman lifestyle through a lot of his songs, and yeah, I've listened to a lot of his songs to know that yeah, he's talking about killing, doing all kinds of illegal activities. So it wouldn't be surprise me that his son probably grew up listening to his father's music and thinking that, oh, his dad pretty much does that, even most of the stuff that he talks about. And you have to understand, most of the DJs that and rappers, we're gonna have to get on people in rap as well. A lot of them who personify this badman image, this gangster thug image. Many of them are not gangsters and thugs in real life. Yeah, many of them are hang around real gangsters and thugs who do grimy stuff, and do their job as far as I see is to kind of glorify what their fellow travelers do within their circles. And yeah, there are some artists, DJs, and rappers who are genuinely live that lifestyle. Like I can think of, yeah, Ninja Man, Vibes Cartel, Nichikuti, or even on the rapper side, you've had Young Buck, Formula G Unit, Beanie Siegel, formerly of The Rock, who else know? Tupac. But I have respect Tupac as a rapper and an artist. He has done some stuff outside of his lyrics, but a lot of the other ones, they basically are basically actors on the mic. And but what happened with Dante Brooks, obviously, and this is just me guessing. All right, I don't know the full details of this. He's grown up or being exposed to that lifestyle, whether it's through his dad or through people around that community. I don't know, mean. And the thing is though is that a lot of those people's community, even his dad, and I'm even trying to look at Mavado and his kid's mother and saying, where were you when he was obviously falling on these very bad influences? I remember this is a kid that doesn't have to be I didn't have to go that route. Where were you all? That's an honest question. I mean, I'm not insinuating that, oh, this and that, that they don't, that they're automatically bad parents. But yeah, there's just some very questionable things about how he was raised by his family, and that needs to be explored because there's no way that this kid woke up in the more woke came out to the womb with a pitchfork in hand, a pointy tail, and two horns on his head. That this kid grew up in a situation where he saw that and he thought that this was the way to go, that that's what you should aspire to be. And the very telling thing is, and yeah, that's the thing you can tell about a lot of those criminal figures who have family members, who have children and whatever, that some of them, yeah, they're okay with their children being broken into the family business. And there's some who probably have enough sense or whatever to say, you know what, I don't want my kids to really go down the path that I went through. Because I know, because the funny thing, like, I remember the Godfather trilogy with the Corleones, and the funny thing is that even with Vito Corleone, who was the patriarch of the Corleone family, like, he was okay with his older son Sonny being a criminal just like he is. Not so much his other children, like Fredo, who was pretty much a moron, being like a good person, but not really. Wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. He was just there just to collect space. And Connie, as far as I can see, I don't think she was really groomed for to be in the family business. But and the thing is, what interesting is like Vito didn't want his youngest son, Michael Corleone, to be anywhere near to be involved in anything having to do with crime. Because he said, okay, I'm okay with my oldest son taking over me in that respect, but I want Michael to not go down that route. Cause I want you to have a normal life, have a clean profession, and just not have anything to do with family business. Because even he said, I don't want. I have no sense. I don't want my son, my youngest son, to really go down that dark path that I went through. Because it's not basically, it's not really like in the cinemas where you do have a little bit of criminal life, then you ride away into the sunset, and as a end credits roll. You're smart enough to say, I don't want Michael to be, and as you know, fate can be a cruel thing, as I said, and Michael ended up being ended up being even bigger criminal crime boss than his father after his oldest brother Sonny was killed. And it basically Vito said, well, before his last moments on earth, he said, you know what, I really didn't want you to be, I really didn't want you to take this path, though. I want you to be anything but a crime boss. Yeah, and the irony is that Michael Corleone, in a sense, that he didn't want his own father, and I'm assuming his mother didn't want him to be a criminal and so on. And the irony is that lifestyle of crime ended up engulfing Michael Corleone, and he became even more ruthless and dangerous than his father and his own brother by the end of the trilogy. So, and even though funny thing is that even Michael Corleone, the third one, basically was seeing things from his father's perspective with his nephew, who was the son of Sonny, where he basically said that where he basically was seeing things from his late father's point of view. But I go there to say is that yeah, that kind of there are some cases where some people who are in that dark in the underworld lifestyle, probably the smart ones don't want their kids to be involved. Like they want their kids to go legit. Because that's even why I'm with Vivian Blake, the late Vivian Blake, who was one of the most notorious leaders of show posse. That even though you can Google about Vivian Blake and stuff he's done and all of the lives he's destroyed and taken out. But irony is that none of his children basically ended up like a father. Like basically all the children are basically are going the opposite of what their dad did, and I wouldn't be surprised that either him or the mother basically said that I don't want you to get involved in that criminal lifestyle because is the only two options at the end of the day is a jail cell or 6 feet under in a pine box. And I guess that's to say with Dante Brooks is that he got caught up in it. I don't and so on like and the irony he didn't have to be in it though, and that's what's so sad about this though is that and so on, and it does go to show that some of them these criminals aren't doing it for survival or whatever, but some of them are doing it because they think that is like the movies where you can or being a criminal, especially being a stone cold killer, that's what gets you enough ratings. That is what is your measure of manhood is to be a gangster, and they don't talk about the consequences that those choices lead. That you you end up either dead or in a jail cell. That's the only. It's not like the movies, and Dante Brooks pretty much became a case study on that. And again, that is so sad that this is just like with other videos I've done with some other notorious figures in the Jamaican in the on the Jamaican crime scene. Yeah, this is just so sad though. I mean, I don't mean I have no sympathy for this little devil, but at the end of the day, is that this is you can just imagine how this kid could have turned out if he had chosen a different path, and he could have easily just come something the opposite to what he did though, because he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to resort to a life of crime. He sadly chose it, and again, we just have to wonder how was he being raised by his parents? Did his parents either encourage that lifestyle? The people in that community knew his Mavado's son. They obviously could have just said to him, "No, I don't want you anywhere near this criminal lifestyle. You have to go in and you don't have to do you have to get involved in the streets or any of this stuff. Like you can go finish your schooling, go on to be something productive member of society. We don't want you in the streets because." Yeah, there are some people in the streets who have enough sense to realize that hey, we don't want all everybody in our communities, especially ones who have better options, to get involved in it. Because in deep down, they know that we don't. They if they got the chance to be something better or get better opportunities, they'll take it in a heartbeat. And for them and especially and to them to see people who don't have to do it result of that, yeah, there's a part in that says no, we don't want you to go to our levels though. I don't want you to make the choice that we made. All right. And obviously that didn't happen with Dante Brooks, because a lot of them should have just said no, we know you're Mavado's son, we know that you're and so on, but you don't have to be in the streets, you don't have to get involved in his lifestyle. So move from Boya, go make something positive in your life. That obviously didn't happen. And again, we have raised asked the question how Mavado and his this kid's mother raised him, because that's just an honest question I have to answer on, because obviously you have to wonder, even if they know that his son was going down a dark path, what did they do anything to stop him? Were they attentive enough to know that okay, the son was going down the path he shouldn't have gone? There's only questions Mavado and his mother can answer if they want to choose it. Because although his name made Mavado look good, I think it was indicated he's even trying to cover up for his son in some ways. And yeah, that's an indicator of how he was raised. Just putting that out there. But again, this is just a case study of what happens of wasted potential. What this poor kid could have. I'm not going to say poor kid. This kid could have been one Jamaica success story in a good way, but he isn't. He's just another case study of wasted potential, and but also this is an indication of Jamaica's culture of glorifying badness. Because when a lot of our kids, our young ones, are thinking that's what we should aspire to be, we as a nation have to take account and say, okay, we have to acknowledge that culture of glorifying badness and whatever. And believe me, I've grown up in the 80s and 90s. I've listened to enough dancehall music. I've listened to people like Ninja Man, Bounty Killer, Mavado, Cartel, all the other sorts. I can be up here till 5 in the morning, listen to all the artists, the ones who were talk about gun lyrics. I could list them all. But the thing is, at least I had enough sense to realize that, yeah, that's just words, and that's just acting, lyrical acting. But a lot of youths who are my age or even much younger do not realize that, and that's again how they're being raised and how they're being influenced. But this is just basically what Corn had to do, and this is just and to a lot of the kids and so on growing up. I hope this really touches you and so on, especially because this is a case study of what happens when you make the wrong choice and when you're not and when you have options to do much better. But this is for State of Jamaica and Caribbean. Check out my YouTube page, Miles Goes Parent, Miles Productions, and Without Some Miles. Peace.